Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Morgan Taylor, and I'm the editor for the Houston Apartment Association's Abode magazine. I'm here to moderate our expert exchange today on reopening fitness centers. Just a few housekeeping items. We are not public health experts. The general information provided by HAA member companies in this session is a resource and is not intended as legal advice. Please consult with your management company or property owners to address specific issues and form your own company guidelines. For our audience today, it's going to be, if you joined us last week, it's going to be the same format. Ask any questions that you may have in the Zoom chat box if you joined us on Zoom, or on the Facebook comments if you're joining us on Facebook today. Once we get through our curated questions, we will then get to your questions. And again, this is a micro webinar, so we're going to try to keep this session to a 30-minute window today. And I'm going to kick it off to our host, Gina Irwin.
Thank you very much. Hi, my name is Gina Irwin. I'm with GWR Management. We are very excited to have Vaughn with us. Vaughn Marxhausen, I'm sorry, I have to read so I don't mess up that name, with exercise. And if you'll bear with me, I'm actually going to read this so that I give you all the kudos that you've earned. Vaughn has over 33 years of experience in the fitness industry here in Houston, operating corporate fitness centers, golf and country clubs, private health clubs such as the Houstonian, where he worked for 18 years. Advanced Exercise was founded in 1986, and they've been HAA members since 1997. Vaughn, we're pretty excited to have you with us today.
Well, thank you for having me, and hope I can shed some light on opening up fitness amenities within the properties.
Yeah, I think so. So let's get right to it. So this is kind of a pressing issue with cases on the rise of COVID. Property owners and managers are trying to get their fitness centers kind of opened or pre-opened. Some have gotten partially there, some haven't taken the leap yet. Can you tell us what steps should be taken prior to opening?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is to really follow any local or state guidelines that are being put out there, following the recommendations from the CDC. But there's 4 steps really that we kind of look at when we work with facilities and facility owners and operators as far as opening up their facility. The first one is communicate. You got to make sure that you communicate with your residents, also with your employees that you have on staff. What are the policies, procedures, and so forth of actually opening up the facility? The next one is contain. You really want to reconfigure the facility, replace anything that needs to be replaced, and then control access. Cleaning and sanitation goes along with that, making sure that you have the proper sanitation stations, wipes, for example, so that the residents are able to wipe down before, during, and after their workouts, the equipment that they do use. And then staffing would be the number 4th one. Just how will the staff be involved in the cleaning process or in the reopening of the facility? And I know that we're going to go into a little bit more in depth on some of these, but those are really the 4 key points as far as communicate, contain, cleaning, and staffing.
Okay, that's helpful. That kind of takes me to our next question about being able to manage social distancing. Is it reasonable for people to rearrange furniture, or can they? I mean, some of it's so arduous and kind of awkward to try to move around. Obviously, some of the smaller things we can. How can they kind of encourage that by rearranging furniture?
Well, one of the things, it's obviously you can only work with what you have. Every property is different. Some property have larger fitness amenities than others. So there is the ability, if you are able to move equipment for that social distancing, which is a recommended 6-foot distance between equipment, that would be the best thing to do. The other thing to look at is, are there other areas within the property that you can move equipment to? So maybe there's a stretch station or dumbbell area, or some cardio pieces that don't need electrical, like an air bike or a rower, that can actually be moved to a different spot on the property or in an area that's not being used. So those are some of the things to look for as far as trying to move it. If you're not able to move the equipment, and you have, typically your cardio is always right next to each other. So it's a matter of, and a lot of health clubs are doing this around the nation right now, as far as unplugging, you know, that treadmill that's too close, or the elliptical. And here's an example of moving some areas and having some space as well. But the thing about it is, it's if you can't move, unplug. Put a sign on it that says "Skip me," would be the best way to do that. For strength equipment, if you can do it back to back, you know, so that way the users aren't facing each other, that would be ideal. The use of floor graphics, like we have here, it just creates, this is my space, this is my area to work out in. And it kind of sets the tone as far as one, for safety for that matter, but it also has, this is the distancing. The thing that I do not recommend is what we call murder tape. It's that red and, or the yellow and black tape that you normally see at a crime scene. Just stay away from that, because again, that just kind of sends a bad message. You know, clubs around are getting creative and putting different signs on the treadmill or elliptical to skip, by either saying "skip me" or hey, I'm taking a break, use the next one to me, or something, just so that you have some sort of a sense of comfort for those individuals that feel, I don't want this person next to me to be right on top of me. So those are kind of the suggestions as far as trying to keep that 6-foot distance.
Yeah, that's helpful, especially the scary tape. That's that's a great point.
Yeah.
So my next question is kind of two parts. You know, one, kind of what are the cleaning protocols that we should be adhering to, and then kind of follow that up with, you know, are there things that are really sort of hard to clean that really ultimately ought to just be removed?
Yeah, so the first part of that is, you know, as far as cleaning and sanitation, it's the ability to have wipes on hand where people are able to utilize the wipes. I know that there are spray bottles, but again, it's kind of one of those things. Do I want to grab a spray bottle that somebody else grabbed and touched? And so you got to think of those things too. The protection of your equipment is also part of this as well, not just from the cleaning standpoint, but from the aspects of making sure that you don't damage the equipment while you clean it. So the use of wipes are better just from the standpoint when you're cleaning a screen or the console of the treadmill, elliptical, whatever cardio you may have. You're not spraying a solvent into the cracks that could get into the components in the inside of the console. So wipes are a lot better. It's easier to use and so forth, and then you can just dispose of them right away. And again, you don't want to use a spray bottle to spray directly on any console as well. And just to make sure that there's no, and I know that there's, you know, the 60% of alcohol is what you need to have in your hand sanitizers and things like that. But you don't want to use any products that have alcohol in it on your cardio, because it can damage the plastics or the consoles. So the wipes have been engineered and designed with special solvents in there to help eliminate the transmission of the virus, or different viruses as well. So that's kind of the cleaning aspects of it. As far as the hard to clean products, those are always your floor mats that you would use like for yoga or stretching, some medicine balls or stability balls, things that have more of a porous surface to it. And there are products, exercise mats, stability balls and so forth, that have what's called a closed cell structure. Those products, I mean, they're out there, you can purchase those. Those are easier to clean, and they have the properties so that it's doesn't retain the viruses or bacterias in the porous equipment. So I hope that answers the question. But typically, things that are hard to clean are anything that has more of a porous structure to it. And I mean, that can even go as far as your flooring as well.
Very helpful. Thank you. Can you tell us what you've seen as far as who should carry the responsibility for cleaning? Should it be on the resident or the residents or customers, if you will, or should it be on the staff or some combination?
Well, that's always a good question. It really should be shared by everybody, just from the standpoint of you have the users that are going in there, the residents that are going in there to utilize the equipment, whether it's cardio, strength, free weights, for them to be able to have the ability to clean the equipment prior to their use and also after their use. But at the same time, it's also, you don't really want to necessarily rely 100% on the users that are actually, you think that they're cleaning the equipment. So it's dedicating staff to go in and clean. So what a lot of health clubs are doing, and I've got a lot of friends that are managers at different facilities, Villa Sport and Lifetime and so forth. And some of those clubs are actually open for business, if you will, for 90 minutes or so. And then they shut down, and then they have the staff do a thorough cleaning of the facility. And then they kind of, quote unquote, reopen, so that the members can come and work out. Other clubs are doing it different. Some have caddies that they call a cleaning caddy, where they have some wipes and some spray bottles if they want, or some hand sanitizer in this little caddy. And then the user will take that with them as they go through the facility and work out, so that they have this caddy, and then they drop it off on the quote unquote dirty table, and then the staff will clean that caddy and put it on a clean table. So then that way you kind of know how many people are actually utilizing the facility. And if you're out of the clean caddies, then that kind of gives you that, then you know that you're not allowing anybody else into the facility, that you're to capacity. So, as far as cleaning, it should be shared upon both the user and also the staffing if possible.
Okay, that's helpful. And that's actually a really great segue into my next question, because how do you limit or control the number of people that are in there at any given time? And I guess the caddy is one way to do that. It's a pretty good idea. Can you tell us other things that you've seen about how people control the crowds, if you will?
Yeah, and there's different ways of doing that. Obviously, posting a sign as far as, outside the door, how many people are actually allowed into the space, so you can do the quick math on that. If you're looking at 6 foot of distance, I want to say that's about 144 square feet of space that you need per individual. So if your facility is, X amount of, 1,000 square feet, you can get about 7 people in that area at one time. Now, granted, you're going to have people that have different views of the virus and so forth. But, posting a sign outside that says, 7 people allowed. And if you're the 8th person and you walk in, hopefully on the honor system, that person doesn't go in. They just go back and, to their apartment, and they come back when it's 6 people in there, There's, there are some software programs out there that some clubs are using. Some are free, some are for there's a service fee for them. You know, you can sign up online to reserve your spot. That's probably a little bit more than what is needed in this situation. But again, it's the use of, like I said, those caddies, those cleaning caddies. If I know that there's no caddies available, then that means that I just don't go in. Again, it's kind of almost on the honor system as far as, you know, the hard part with the, and I'm kind of rambling here, but the hard part with the apartment complexes is the fact that there's not a lot of staff that's present, that's around to really track and to really enforce the rules, if you will, as far as the number of people in there. So doing what you can as far as posting on a sign, you know, would be the way to go, I would think.
Sure. Yeah. Well, of course, it's going to be a group effort. So can you also talk a little bit about what you're seeing with regard to masks? It seems like a conflict to me that somebody would wear a mask while they're exerting themselves.
Yeah, that's a big
seeing?
one. So you've got with masks, and I'm not going to get into wear a mask or don't wear a mask. So I've seen it all through Facebook as far as what happens if nobody wears a mask and you're within, you know, 3 feet of each other, what happens? Or if one person's wearing a mask and the other person's not wearing a mask, and so forth. And it goes on and on. What they're finding is that the best defense is if everybody is wearing a mask and everybody is 6 feet apart. When you get into the exercise component of it, now you're looking at how am I able to be on a treadmill or an elliptical and exert myself and get up to 80% of my max heart rate and be able to breathe through a mask. So in Texas, I know that a lot of health clubs have it where you are to wear a mask as you enter and exit the facility, but when you are exercising, you do not have to wear your mask. Now, in the state of California, because we cover 16 states through advanced exercise, in California, they're just now opening up, and now they're mandating that you wear masks when you're working out. So there's a lot of controversy over the wearing of masks. You know, if a person feels comfortable going in and stretching and you know, doing some light exercise where they're not exerting themselves and they feel that they need to wear a mask, then they can wear a mask. But, you know, as far as mandating it, I don't think that there's any mandate in the state of Texas where you have to wear a mask while you're exercising on the cardio or in any strength exercise. And most clubs are just having it where they're wearing the masks as they're coming and going from the facility.
Okay, that's helpful. One thing you touched on briefly, you touched on some programs that are available for scheduling times or reserving times. Have you seen anything else besides some automated programs that I think we've all seen out there? Have you seen people signing as they come in? You know, how much time should be limited? Can you tell us what you've seen as far as?
Yeah, I mean, it's all different. I mean, you can just do the old school route as far as having a sign-in sheet where people sign in. You know, the downfall of having a reservation would be if I reserve my spot and then I don't show up, what are the consequences for me not showing up? Well, there's really not going to be any consequence other than the fact that it's an inconvenience for other residents who wanted to work out during that time frame. So again, it's you know, signing up, having a place where member or the residents can sign up would be, you know, a way to do that. Or like I said, there's other programs out there that's reservation type softwares, but again, a lot of those are robust software programs where you can do point of sale and all sorts of stuff. So
Okay.
Did I answer the question?
Yeah, absolutely you did.
Okay.
No, that was fantastic. Thank you. So my last question before I turn it back over to Morgan to see if there's been anything come across Facebook. My last question is, can you tell us a little bit about the creativity you've seen as far as people trying to help with virtual fitness, or, you know, are there other options out there if people are still kind of leery about walking into the fitness centers, but we still want to be able to provide that service? Have you seen anything like that?
I have.
Okay.
And we do that. But anyway, you know, if you're a member of a health club, I would say a majority of those health clubs have some sort of a group exercise presence. You know, I worked at the Houstonian for 18 years. It's one of the premier country club or health clubs. That's like a country club almost, but it's no golf in the country. They have their group exercise instructors leading group exercise classes at different times, which is on Facebook. You don't have to be a member to participate in that. You know, I know that there's other health clubs, Fitness Connection and so forth, that are offering fitness classes, if you will, online. Personal trainers are starting to do that. And then, of course, you get into subscription-based efforts, if you will, as far as like a Wellbeats, for example, that you have a subscription to that where you can actually select the different types of workouts that you want, whether it's a yoga, Pilates, a spin class, muscles class, and so forth. And then, of course, then you get into the what we call in-room virtual workouts, which is something like the mirror is one of the latest things, as actually having that in your apartment residence where you can actually have a virtual trainer take you through the workout that you select. So those are some different aspects of the virtual side of it. And it just really depends on what you're trying to accomplish through your own fitness goals.
Okay, that's really helpful. All right, Morgan, I'm going to turn it back over to you. I don't know if we've had any questions come across. I'm not monitoring that piece.
Yeah, so we did have one question come in, and I have a few questions myself. The first, and I know, Vaughn, you're being very respectful of our no advertorial language rule, and I appreciate that very much, but I do want to ask you straight up, does Advanced Exercise provide a subscription? Because I think the way you were answering the question would be helpful for individual residents to utilize subscription-based fitness. But if a property wanted to offer a subscription-based program for all of their residents, I don't know if that's possible, if that's available, how that would even work, but does Advanced Exercise provide something like that?
Yes, we do. So we provide, which I told you, the Wellbeats program. It is a streaming program that you can actually pay for. And then I want to say that they just changed the number of users. I want to say it's up to 400 people can actually, or I should say subscriptions. So if you have, you know, 300 units in your property, you could do a subscription, monthly subscription, which is basically like your cable subscription, and then offer that to all of your tenants if you wanted to within your property. So yes, that is available, and it makes it where now that individual can log on to their device, whether it's their phone, their computer, their tablet. They can stream it through their TV, and then they can select whatever class that they want to take on that.
Very cool. Very cool. I know virtual exercise was so not a thing, you know, months ago, and I was super hesitant to do any kind of working out at home. And I use the Mirror app, and I love it. It's so amazing.
Which is another one that we also do.
Oh, cool. Very cool. So, I mean, the way that works is it's an actual mirror that I guess properties could put inside their residents, inside their units for their residents. And that would probably be more of the, that would probably be more appealing to luxury apartments, or Class
Yeah.
A
Yeah,
properties. But
and that's another thing too, as far as like the virtual aspects of it. And I don't want to get into too much detail, but as far as the mirror, which you've experienced, that's a mirror that you can actually put into each individual unit, where now you can have, an extra fee to be the fitness unit if you want.
right.
Um, and then the resident would be responsible for the subscription.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. And I do want to move off this topic, but I
Yep.
just wanted to really quick also mention, and Vaughn, correct me if I'm wrong, but or Gina, another option for creative ways to providing fitness to your residents would be, I mean, I know it's hot out and it's the summertime and we live in Houston, but you can move some of your fitness, maybe like some mats or a ball or something that doesn't require power outside,
Yeah.
as an option, as well. And so, okay, so back to, so this is a two-part question that I have, and that a viewer has. Can you name certain, you were mentioning the wipes.
Yes.
What kind of brands and like what should people be looking for? And is there any information or leads on where apartment communities can purchase these sanitizing wipes? Supply is limited with most vendors, the viewer said.
Yeah, that's a good one, and obviously, I'm here to give information, basic information, across the board. Uh, we do wipes. I'll just put it out there, and we have companies that we have used for our wipes, and just to let you know how scarce wipes are is through the certain company, which I won't name, but we have put in orders with them in February and March, and we still have not had them fulfilled for our customers. And so we've gone out, we've done our due diligence as far as finding the wipes that are the ones that kill the viruses, that also clean and disinfect and so forth, that don't have the alcohol that would be harsh on your equipment. So it's designed for your equipment. We've actually secured a company that makes the wipes, and we have those in stock. So we're able to go out and actually work with communities such as the apartment complexes, and we're working with Bridge right now with about 800 different properties that they have throughout the United States on supplying them the wipes. So they're hard to find, and we as distributors of wipes had a hard time finding them until we were actually able to find a company that actually had that.
And just a tip as well, I'm sure most property managers have already thought of this, but just ask any and all of your supplier partners if they have wipes. There are a lot of companies that weren't supplying wipes before that now are, amid COVID. So just ask all of your supplier partners if they have what they have and if they have anything available. Now, you mentioned software programs, and I believe it was in reference to the scheduling of
Yeah.
residents coming in. Can you just really quickly just name like a few examples of some software programs that would be able to do that?
Oh boy, good question. MindBody is the one that comes to mind. That's one that a lot of health clubs use. Again, you're looking at a health club type partner that is looking for scheduling, group exercise scheduling, point of sale, and so forth. So it's a little bit more robust. I have actually, Google is my friend, and just Googling, group exercise class software or even personal training software. You know, there's a lot of things that come up. Because we're talking a wide gamut of different aspects of what you know, the property managers are looking for and what would actually suit them. But there's some that are free that are out there. You know, some have the trials and so forth. So I guess it's just, you know, doing a Google search for it and just kind of seeing what they provide and what would actually work with what you're trying to accomplish. Because a lot of them are just really more robust than what you are really needing. And that's kind of going back to, you know, the paper sign-up sheet. And,
Yeah.
you know, it's the most effective way of doing it. Then you have your record of those individuals. And again, it's one of those things as far as, you know, when you're scheduling a class, you know, there's some consequences to that where you could be charged if you don't show up. But, you know, in this environment where I want to work out at 10 o'clock on a Monday, you know, if I'm signing up for that and I don't show up, there's really no consequence unless now you're banned from working out if you don't show up. Again, it's just a matter of making it simple, you know, posting a sign out there and just, you know, hey, 7 people is the minimum that you can have. So, you know, again, it's the honor system, and, you know, maybe it's staff going in there every once in a while to check if are there too many people. So.
All right. Well, that's all the questions I had written down and all the questions we had from our viewers today. So,
Okay.
Gina, if you will wrap us up.
Yes, thank you again, Vaughn, for joining us. We really appreciate your insight.
Thank you.
Yeah, very much.
It looks like next Tuesday we had intended to do the next exchange in the series on crime, and given the fact that we're in a pretty fluid environment, we're kind of following the questions and the needs that we're hearing from people, and it looks like we're going to reconsider that one, and we're going to move this to cleaning and disinfecting protocols. It seems with cases on the rise among employees and residents, this seems to be a pretty hot topic right now. So please join us next Tuesday. We are going to discuss cleaning and disinfecting protocols and how to handle employees and residents when they test positive. And thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you next Tuesday.
Thanks, guys. Thank you. And thank you.
All right. Thank you.